you don't abide by the contract, you get sued, nigga. That's business. That's how it go.
On New Year's Day 2026, Boosie got a phone call from his lawyer.
I want to give a happy New Year's to the whole world.
The message, President Trump had already signed the pardon. The White House just hadn't announced it yet. His federal conviction, pardoned. The legal cloud hanging over his future, finally lifted. Everything he paid them to pursue, handled. That was just one problem. No pardon was ever announced, produced, or verified. And the two men who told him it had been signed had already collected $600,000 of his money. Now Boosie is in arbitration trying to get $300,000 of it back.
Yeah, on the contract, they had a deadline to give me my pardon by January 31st. I even gave him a little time before I sued him. I gave him like 2 months after that. I just told him, man, just send my money back.
The firm claims the refund was never guaranteed and that they're broke anyway. And a White House official told reporters the clemency team had never heard from these guys at all, and that their involvement would only hurt somebody's chances of getting clemency. $600,000, no pardon, and the two men who collected the money had already pleaded guilty to felony telecommunications fraud in a completely separate case. This is not really a pardon story, it's a control story. The man owns 88 acres of land in Georgia that he bought for $250,000, 26,000 square foot compound on what his fans call Boosie Town. 13 bedrooms, a private nightclub, a bowling alley, a man-made lake, separate homes on the property for his children, Rolls-Royce Cullinan, and all types of cars in the driveway. He was getting paid $25,000 per interview on VladTV alone. This is not a man without money. So how does someone with all of that end up paying two men with prior fraud convictions $600,000 for a pardon that never came? Boosie has been generating money for 20 years. Question is, who's been controlling it? And this pardon situation is just the most recent example of a pattern that's been running his whole career. Let's get into it. Most people know Boosie from his music, Wipe Me Down, Badass, 20 years in Southern hip hop. But somewhere along the way, something else happened. His opinions became almost as valuable as his catalog.
They walk in the house, they girl listening to your music. They go downstairs, the kids doing the dance to your music. Now they are hypnotized with hatred. They are hypnotized with hatred.
The facial expressions, the stories, the arguments, the moments where he says what everybody else is scared to say. Boosie turned talking into a revenue stream. In 2023, on The Breakfast Club, Charlamagne asked if Boosie would ever start a podcast. Boosie said he didn't need one.
I could make $500,000 with Vlad every year, man.
$500,000 with Vlad?
Close to it.
God damn.
Close to it, Boosie said. Now, Vlad responded to that claim with a sarcastic GoFundMe, saying all his other guests now wanted the same.
Man, that put my whole business into shambles. All my other regular guests are calling me up, so they want $500,000 too.
And when the actual pay dispute came out in April 2026, Boosie said he walked because Vlad wouldn't give him $5,000 more per interview.
He didn't want to pay me, so I think I'm going to make more money doing it this way. And I'm editing my interview now.
Vlad said he'd been paying Boosie $25,000 per interview, and Boosie asked for a $10,000 increase.
The fee had always been $25,000. He said, I want $40,000. And I'm like, fam, I can't do $40,000.
So rather the $500,000 was an exaggeration, a joke, or based on volume, Vlad and Boosie both confirmed the $25,000 per interview rate. Multiple interviews a year, real money either way. Boosie once explained why he chose a $45,000 podcast appearance over a $60,000 concert.
When I can make $30,000, $40,000 to sit on the couch to talk, that's way safer than that club. I think y'all should be happy I'm doing podcasts. I'm going to live longer way doing podcasts. Way more less danger doing podcasts. Would you rather do a show for 60 or podcast for 45? I made that decision the other day. I took the 45 over the 60. The 60 I had to pay for flights, hotels, 40-something thousand now, man. That's a blessing.
The concert required flights, security, hotels, a crew. Thousands of people actually showing up. The interview, just Boosie sitting on the couch being Boosie. His personality became a product with almost no inventory costs. That's actually a beautiful business until you look at who's controlling it. DJ Vlad confirmed he was paying Boosie $25,000 per interview. Multiple interviews a year. That's how Boosie was generating what he claimed was close to $500,000 annually from the platform alone. Both sides were winning. But Vlad didn't just post one video per interview. He cut it into clips, dozens of separate videos, released them over weeks, each one collecting ad revenue, each one driving traffic. The content kept earning long after Boosie walked out the room. Boosie got paid once. Vlad owned everything that happened afterward. And eventually, like almost every successful creator does, Boosie asked the question, why am I collecting one check while everyone else owns everything my face is producing? In April 2026, he asked Vlad for more, wanted $35,000 to $40,000 per interview. Vlad said no, said the market didn't support it. Boosie walked. He didn't want to pay me, Boosie said on a live stream. So I think I'm gonna make more money doing it this way. He announced he was going independent, his own interviews, his own Patreon, his own platforms.
Yo, dropping part 1 of my interview, dropping on Patreon tomorrow. I need all my fans to support it.
Vlad responded publicly, pointed out that Boosie's Patreon wasn't generating the engagement he believed would be needed to replace what VladTV was paying.
You know, and now Boosie launched his own podcast.
His
on
own
Patreon.
On Patreon only up to this point, yes.
Yeah.
Hasn't been released on YouTube yet. When I took a look at it, it was showing 60 likes, which...
Yeah, that's what I saw, yeah.
If you were to say, okay, maybe 10% of the people who sign up for this content are going to bother to hit the like button, especially on a private platform like Patreon, it's just kind of, you know, it would be out of the ordinary for a larger than 10% of the people to hit the like button, I think. So 600
downloads.
Yeah.
For
so
sure.
You could think, I would say that as far as him getting even anywhere close to like 25 or 30K, that is probably pretty unlikely.
Even offered to come on Boosie's platform and trade appearances, help each other grow. No money changes hands. Boosie had a point about ownership. Vlad had a point about distribution. Neither of them is fully wrong. What the move exposed is that having an audience is not the same as having paying customers. Somebody can watch 20 free Boosie clips on YouTube and still not pay a monthly subscription. The free content trained people to expect free content. Converting that into paying subscribers requires a completely different setup. Marketing, consistent exclusive releases, editing, distribution, subscriber retention. Everything Vlad was handling quietly in the background while Boosie showed up and talked. Boosie learned the difference between being highly paid talent and being responsible for the entire business. Long term, building a direct relationship with his audience could be more valuable than the VladTV deal ever was, but there's a gap between where he is now and where that could go, and that gap costs money and time to close. Just this past July 4th, Boosie appeared at King of Diamonds in Atlanta. VIP experience, packed house, the whole thing. He went publicly claiming the promoter didn't pay him the remaining money he was owed on the back end.
Hey, I'm outside King of Diamonds. Promoter ain't come with the bag, so you know how this shit go. Sue his ass. Gotta sue him in the morning.
He showed up. He delivered exactly what he was hired to deliver. You know, Boosie turned up. And according to Boosie, the back end money never came through the way it was supposed to. Same pattern. Boosie provides the value. Someone else controls the final payment. And his immediate public leverage was going online and calling it out. Now, the one everybody's talking about, September 30th, 2025, Boosie, born Torrance Hatch in Baton Rouge, a man who did 5 years in prison on drug charges from 2009 to 2014 and came back and built an empire from scratch, signed a contract with a Washington, D.C. lobbying firm called J.M. Berkman and Associates. The fee, $600,000. The objective, use their claimed political connections and assets inside Trump's orbit to advocate for Boosie's federal gun control conviction to be pardoned. The deadline, January 31st, 2026. Jacob Wohl and Jack Burtman were already convicted felons. Both men had pleaded guilty to felony telecommunications fraud in a completely separate case involving a robocall scheme designed to suppress black voter turnout during the 2020 election. They were ordered to pay $1.25 million in penalties over the operation. That case had nothing to do with Boosie, but the convictions were already public record before Boosie hired them.
You must don't know about Boosie. They must ain't do their research about Boosie. Boosie don't play. They must ain't do their research about me.
These were the men now presenting themselves as credible Washington insiders with meaningful access to Donald Trump. Come on, man. And Boosie facing real federal exposure, a real legal deadline, and the possibility of losing more of his freedom. Believe them, the contract itself was already suspicious, riddled with typos. The refund clause was improperly dated for January 31st, 2025. Several months before the agreement was even signed. Both parties said it was supposed to be 2026. But the contract went forward anyway. Then on New Year's Eve, Burtman allegedly told Boosie's lawyers the president had the matter in hand, was prepared to sign. The following day, the call came that the pardon had already been signed, just waiting on a public announcement. Except when Boosie's legal team checked, nobody could find it. A White House official said the clemency team had never heard from Wohl or Burtman at all, and that their involvement would only hurt Boosie's chances. Now he wants $300,000 back under the refund clause. The firm says there was never any such guaranteed refund agreement. Of course they would say that. They also reportedly claimed they were broke from previous fines. The matter is in arbitration. No court or arbitrator has ruled that Boosie was defrauded in this particular deal, and Burtman had the nerve to blame Boosie for the failed pardon. Told TMZ the other factor is that Boosie's quest for a pardon was made much tougher by an arrest for an alleged crime of violence in Texas earlier this year. That was in May 2026. Boosie was charged with felony assault after allegedly hitting a Houston nightclub bouncer in the head with a glass hookah. Released on bond, called it a money grab, but his federal probation supervisors then said he should spend a year and a half back in prison for failing to take advantage of the leniency the court had already given him. So right now, Boosie is simultaneously fighting to get $300,000 back from lobbyists who say the pardon they never delivered was partly his fault, while also fighting to stay out of prison on the original case, while also dealing with a new felony charge from May. And Boosie went straight to X and called Burtman out directly. Everyone you said you reached out to, but my partner has said you are lying. Every name you named has denied your allegations. So where did the money go? I thought Trump signed the pardon. I thought you had the president on speed dial. That's not a press statement. That's a man who feels like he got played, going off in real time. And that's the most Boosie thing that could happen in this situation. Again, no court has ruled that Boosie was defrauded in this transaction. The accurate statement is that he paid $600,000 for a political access strategy that didn't produce a pardon. And both sides disagree on whether half the fee must be returned. Angela Stanton-King responded publicly. Trump actually pardoned her in 2020. She knows what a real pardon looks like. Her message: nobody can sell you a presidential pardon. They can sell advocacy, lobbying, the appearance or of assets, but only the president can deliver the result. Boosie wasn't legally buying a pardon. You can't buy a pardon. He was buying the possibility that someone's relationship could move his name closer to the president. One of the most expensive words in business is access.
Sign a contract and you send somebody some money and they don't abide by that contract, by that deadline, you sue them.
Because access sounds like control, but it's not. Look at all four situations together. With VladTV, Boosie controlled the personality, but Vlad controlled the audience and distribution. With Patreon, Boosie finally controlled the customer relationship, but also inherited the entire machine. With the promoter, Boosie delivered the appearance. The promoter allegedly controlled the final payment. With the pardon, Boosie supplied the $600K. The lobbyists claimed to have access, but only the president controlled the result. Every situation is different. The financial vulnerability is the same every time, though. Boosie created or supplied the value, and somebody else controlled the final transaction. That's what most people miss when they look at Boosie Town, the cars, and the jewelry. You can be rich, you can be famous, you can be the most important person in the deal and still be exposed when someone else controls the platform, the payment, the distribution, or the decision. The estate is controlled. The land is controlled. A direct paying audience is controlled. A promise from someone else claiming to have political connections, that's a bet and not guaranteed. Boosie's bet $600K, the pardon never came. You don't need $600,000 in a federal gun conviction for a version of this to find you though. A salesperson can generate the customer and still depend on the company to calculate the commission correctly. A creator can produce millions of views and still own no direct relationship with the audience. A contractor can finish the job and spend months chasing the final invoice. An employee can carry an entire department and still own none of the business. The lesson isn't that you should never use partners, platforms, promoters, lawyers, or lobbyists, etc. You need to understand exactly what they control, who owns the audience, who collects the money, who verifies the result, and what happens when the person across from you doesn't deliver. Boosie spent 20 years proving his voice was worth money. $25,000 interviews, high-paying show bookings, millions of views, but being vulnerable is not the same as being in control. He knew it too. In February 2025, before any of this happened, he posted on X, "Save your money. You gotta be selfish. Cold part about this world, when you fall, is no one go pick you up." The irony is that Boosie had already said the lesson out loud months before this dispute became public. But knowing the rule and structuring every deal around it are two different things. The arbitration is still ongoing. Neither side has won yet, but whether Boosie gets that $300,000 back or not, this story already exposed something much bigger than one failed pardon attempt. It exposed the business of selling assets and the danger of confusing assets with control. Money can buy lawyers, money can buy lobbyists, money can buy introductions, but sometimes even $600,000 can't buy the outcome. If you want more videos like this where we follow the money behind the stories everybody's talking about, subscribe and tap in. I'm out of here.